Okay, good morning. Hope everyone's doing fine. We'll give it a couple minutes till people get here. I'm a little earlier than I had planned on being. I'm a little earlier than I planned on being because I have my timer set for, I forget what time, but at any rate, because I have a dentist appointment. Hi, Becky. How are you this morning? Okay, I thought I had my chat window, my chat open so that it would show on the screen. Becky, can you see a... Hi, Marjorie. How are you this morning? Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay. Above your... Thanks, Crafty. It's good to be online. Good morning, Jen. How are you? Welcome. Can anybody tell me, do they see a box on the top left of my screen that should be supposed to be a chat box, but it looks like it's not working? Oh. Hi, EJ, Grace. Good morning to both of you. Welcome. Okay, my chat box is there, but it just has a URL in it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a little blue box. Okay, but there's no... Hi, Sky. But there's no chat in it. Oh, phooey. Now what? Here I thought I had it all solved, that I wouldn't have to add... Hi, Amin. Thank you, Marjorie. Thanks, I love you. Oh, Marjorie, thank you so much. I love doing them. It is so much fun. Yeah, small chat box is there, but you're not seeing any chat in it, are you? Okay. Ooh. Let me see if I have to do something here. Okay, guys, you all... Yeah, it is a URL, Jen. I thought it was bringing my chat from Restream into... Hi, Storm. I thought it was bringing my chat from Restream into my stream, but apparently that would not be the case. So I thought I had it fixed, but it looks like... Yeah, what you see, Amin, is my adding, physically adding everybody's comment. If I click on my window that shows comments, I can click add to stream, and then it gets added. However, Restream is supposed to be doing that automatically through this URL, and I don't know why it's not doing it. So, if anyone... Hi, Tori. Yeah, Storm, tech is tricky. Oh my gosh. I'm so learning yet that... Ugh. I spend more time trying to figure this thing out than I do actually stitching on these streams. Okay, Tori, what's going on is I downloaded Restream's chat. They have a chat program that you're supposed to be able to put the URL on into one of your overlays, and then your chat from both YouTube and Twitch should show up on your screen. However, that's not happening. I have the URL there embedded, and I have my chat open. I wonder if I close that, if it will go there. I have my chat open, so I thought it would automatically show up on the screen and I would not have to click add to screen in my eCam's chat window. I'm just so new to all of this. Oh. Yeah, you guys, what some of you are seeing is the chat that I add, and it's probably at the bottom left of your screen, as opposed to the chat window I have in the overlay is in the top left. Hi, Sunny. Oh, sorry you won't be able to keep me company, but thanks for dropping by. I appreciate that. I truly do appreciate anyone that drops by. You guys are all awesome. Yeah, I wonder if I close my window that I can't see it. If then it will show up. Oh, you like my needle minder storm. This, a friend of mine in Australia sent me, and it had to do, there was some over there that it had to do with the koalas and the wildfires that were going on at the time, and how the koalas were, of course, so thirsty and starving and what have you. So there was someone over there that made and sold these so that I believe so that the proceeds would help be donated towards saving the koalas. So I have a friend over there, and she so kindly sent this to me, and I treasure it, and it stays on all my stitching. I don't hardly use any other needle minders anymore. I just use these. Well, my closing that chat did not work. Okay. You're right. Technology is only as good as the person using it, and this person is not the brightest bulb in the forest when it comes to that. Well, let me see what, oh golly geez. We can open that later. We don't need that one. Chat is waiting with new messages. Well, isn't that just special? So let me go in those settings. And see, maybe I have to do this. Huh. Okay, let's copy that. Let's minimize that. Oh, thank you. Oh, this between trying to. Okay, so let's delete this. I'm trying to fix it here, guys. And then, okay, let me paste. There we go. Marjorie, I'm stitching on. Oh, geez, it just puts the URL in again. Ugh. So I guess I just have to keep adding your comments. Aha, Sky. I guess I just need to watch people fiddling with their comments too. Because I just re-embedded the stream and it is not going in there. Ah, this is frustrating. If anybody knows what I'm doing wrong, they could let me know. I would appreciate it. Oh, I'm such a... Oh, anyway, Marjorie, did I answer your question? I'm stitching on Stitcher's Retreat. I think, um, I think I can... Oh my God, what am I messing up here? Hi, Ruby. How are you this morning? What am I messing up here? Oh, this is hysterical. I guess you guys really want me to fiddle with this while you're expecting to see some cross stitch. Hi, Pascal. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Mark, okay, there's Ruby. I guess I'm just going to have to do this ad thing. Ugh. Okay. Mark is asking if it's possible to do a pin stitch with 2 strands. Absolutely. Yes, it is. Now, here's my question to you. If you are doing a tent stitch, okay, I just had this thought, now I totally lost it. If you're doing a tent stitch, it might be a little difficult to do that pin stitch and hide it. But I do believe people have done that, have used a pin stitch when doing 10 and with 2 strands. My best suggestion to you would be to start with a loop start and either running your threads across the back, or yeah, you could try a pin stitch if you're doing 10. I don't normally tent stitch because I don't know, I just can't quite I can't quite really like it. Oh, you're doing full crosses. Okay, then, and what count are you working on? Yeah, um, depending on the count, yeah, you can easily hide a pin stitch. If you're now 25 count 2 strands, it's going to be a little hard. Yeah, I love single strand. I don't want to do double strands anymore, Joy. Okay, 32 count Over one or over two? You should be able to do a pin stitch. Absolutely, you should be able to. Teresa, hello. How are you? Thanks for dropping by. I watched your live stream yesterday. I where was I the day that you did it? Oh, um I was watching my grandkids. My daughter had a doctor's appointment. She had bunion surgery, so she needed to do a follow-up appointment, and the kids are doing um online school. They're not physically going to school, so they needed somebody nearby to help them with their school stuff. So that's always Nana's job. So I would say, Marky, just try it and see how it works. Um, Try to keep it not putting a dark color over where a light color goes. Um, but I would say try it. If you're working over two on 32 count, it should be easy peasy because you can just go. Yeah, check my video. There's a video on pin stitching. Check that and um, see how it works for you. It's one of those things where it really is a lot of personal preference. Oh, Teresa, thanks. Yeah, these kids think Nana is the bomb because Nana tries very hard to play Minecraft with them. Oh, I better put some of these comments up here. Okay, you're using variegated over two. Yes, you can definitely do your pin stitch that way. Okay, guys, I'm getting rid of this box up here because I can't. Oh, there's my picture of what I'm stitching. I can't get the comments to go in, and I just have to click them in. Um, you're quite welcome, Marky. That's always my pleasure. I've missed. Oh, Maine, I haven't seen you for a while. I missed you too. Aw, I'm glad you. I'm glad you're back. Absolutely glad you're back. Oh, you still have some buffering? I'm sorry. Is there something I can um, reset in mine that would help? Oh, I think I must have missed a question here from Mir. Oh, okay, how do I say this? Mirjam? Mirjam? Anyway, I butchered your name, but let me answer your question. You're a new stitcher, and I have a half stitch next to my full stitches. Which way do I need to face my half stitches? Okay, I think what you're asking me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, um, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're asking me is you have full cross and then you have half stitches all within the same piece. If you have half stitches, the normal rule, the rule of thumb is to have those half stitches or tent stitches go the same direction as the top leg of your full cross. So if you stitch your full cross bottom left to top right, and then bottom right to top left, you want your half stitches to go bottom right to top left because you want all your top stitching to be the same. Tori, yes, absolutely. Message me. I have, in fact, I have my Discord open right now. Um, I kept it open. I opened it just in case something wasn't working and I wasn't realizing it, and somebody could send me a message. Oh, this, I'm such a dope sometimes. Yes, absolutely. Send me a message. I would love it. Love it if there's, I mean, because it's a whole lot easier if my chat goes automatically in the stream and I don't have to keep clicking um, add to broadcast out of my chat that I see, which is both those of you that are on YouTube and those of you that are on Twitch. So I'm probably talking ahead of myself in some cases. But I am really glad you're here, and I am open for any helpful advice because, like Teresa, I am learning how to do this, and um, see, then I get involved in adding things, and this is a stitching channel, and I think the idea here is to stitch. But in all honesty, I get so caught up in keeping up with comments that I don't get much stitching done, and that's okay. Storm, you have, oh, you have a project that is all confetti, no joke. It's driving you crazy. Um, what I would say is, are you using the parking method? First of all, would be my first question. Um, that's one thing you could do. Um, use parking uh, so that you're not starting and ending threads all the time. So that's one thing that you can do. Um, the other thing, when you're parking, there's several different ways to do that. You can stitch on the diagonal. You can go one stitch at a time across each row. You could stitch down a column, row complete going down a column. That way you're catching all those single stitches. I call them one at a timers. Um, for the simple reason that there might be one stitch of a color and then you don't have that stitch again for halfway across the chart, and there are ones like that. Um, you could, Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think I remember from your videos that you stitch a 10 by 10 square, like you cross country within that 10 by 10 square and park in the square down from it. And I believe you do those squares on the diagonal. There are people that do that. Um, yes, Ellie, oh gosh, here I have to add these comments. This is, uh, some people stitch down the column in 10 by 10 squares. Now, the only thing with doing 10 by 10 squares is, or stitching down a column, or even stitching on the diagonal, you have to mind your tension. You have to watch your tension because you could potentially get lines. You know, like page line, like some people who stitch cross country within the page end up with page lines. Oh, I saw a picture, and one of these days I'll remember to do it in an overlay and be able to show you guys. This poor woman was stitching in 10 inch or 10 stitch wide columns, and you could see every column line across her entire piece on the top half of her piece. And then she must have watched one of my videos or somebody's video on diagonal stitching, and she switched to that. So you see this piece that the top part is 10 by 10 stitch wide columns all across the whole thing, and then where you can see exactly where she switched and all her column lines went away. So they're not there. She took it to a framer, and the framer didn't want to touch it because he said he's not going to be able to pull those lines out. So my advice is, whichever way you choose to deal with that confetti, make sure you keep your tension consistent. And I think the other thing is keeping your fabric tight enough. Because if your fabric is too loose and floppy, then your tendency with your tension is to pull a little bit too tight. And if you pull, think about the stitches that are right on that right on that straight line. Okay, that would be right on this 10th stitch mark. Okay, when you're doing this column, that top stitch is pulling it to your right. Okay, when you're completing the stitch on this side of the gray line, that top stitch is pulling it to your left. So what happens is you have pull in two directions, therefore creating that space, that hole being bigger than it normally would be, and giving you lines. So I think the other part of it is keeping your fabric tight enough so that you're not encouraging those threads being pulled to either side, or where your top stitch is creating a bigger hole. And if you have it pulled really tight, when you take it off your hoop or whatever, it kind of relaxes a little bit, and those things aren't as noticeable. That's just my theory. If it's right, more, that's great. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. But I can't, in my head, rationalize it any other way. That it's a tension issue for the most part. If I cross country within the diagonal, okay, I'm getting behind here on putting things up on the screen. I'm so sorry. Where did I put the last one up? Okay, let me just, I really need to get this fixed because this is, oh, you guys get way ahead of me. Okay. We answered Storm's question. Oh, Louisa, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Teresa, it is hard to read and keep up and stitch at the same time. I think I should just come on and not even bother trying to stitch because it ain't gonna be happening. Ah, if I can't get this fixed, I'm gonna send you a message and ask your daughter what she did to turn on comments. Now, the thing is, I have an iPad, or I mean, not an iPad, a MacBook Pro. So I'm using Ecamm, and that's probably different than setting it up in OBS. I tried to put OBS on here, and it crashed. It kept crashing. So maybe I will have to um, check into it again, because OBS is not a charge where I'm paying a charge to use Ecamm. Yes, Teresa, and I think that helps too, to stagger the blocks as you're doing the diagonal. Um, I think, anything we can do. The other thing is, like what I'm doing here, is I'm doing a column, but I'm also slightly bleeding over into the next column. Um, that helps too. Anything that you can uh, avoid having that blunt straight line is a help. X-Ray, hello. I just watched your videos. I finally found you on YouTube, and they were really very good. You did a fabulous job. I truly really enjoyed them. It was fun. Quick Challenger, hello, good morning. Glad you stopped by too. What is my Twitch username? Are you asking me? It's Needlebugg68. Hi Teresa, nice to see you back. Oh, Teresa, that would be awesome. Oh, we will have to do that at some point. You're in the Discord too, so I just saw that you were in the Discord, so maybe we could do it there. Yeah, I'll have to let you know about that. Oh, you have a floss tube. You have a floss tube help channel for such things. Sky, did you set up another channel in the Discord for working out those kinds of things? Ooh, you did in the Discord. Or Zoom. I have a private Zoom account. A non-paid Zoom account that we could do that too. Oh, I see, Challenger. You're watching from YouTube. Okay. Yes, so my Twitch name is Needlebugg, which is the same as YouTube, only on Twitch put um a 68 behind it. I couldn't just use Needlebugg. And I guess you all figured out why I have that name, or why I picked that name, because my last name really is Bug. With two G's. With two G's. Yeah, I give everybody a good laugh every now and again with that name. It's kind of funny. Sky, that's great. You guys have really been uh, putting the Discord thing in for this, for us Twitchers. Thank you for doing that. I mean, I haven't gotten on much. I have it open now just in case someone needs to ask me something or show me something or whatever. But I'm going to try and keep it open. Um, my Yeah, I really would like to get this stream into or this comments into my live stream, because boy, it's hard. It is really hard. Arctic Fox, hello. I saw you. Did I see you on Teresa's stream, or were you here on mine the last time? I can't remember. Oh, Old lady memories. First full coverage project in diagonal and parking and watching your videos on YouTube. Oh, well, thank you. I hope you found them helpful. Um, Sometimes they are a little long, a little lengthy. However, trying to explain um, diagonal stitching and parking, I find it very difficult to do a good explanation so that people can understand how or what they're doing. It's very hard to do that in a short 15-20 minute video. Um, if people are finding them too long, I think what I could do is take those videos and break them smaller into smaller segments. Like, this is how you get your stuff together. This is how you read your chart, and then the demonstration at the end. So I will think about that to break them up, because I know I have read comments on at other places about videos being so long. But you rather have long videos with more information? Okay, then I would keep those there, but I might also consider breaking them up. But I'm so glad, Arctic Fox, that they were helpful to you. Um, that's awesome. Almond, you have a bunch of 56 count that you want to use. Any tips on stitching? Oh my, 1/1 on 56 count? You are a brave, brave soul. Very brave. Now, is that 56 count linen, or is that the 56? I'm just curious if you're using 56 count linen or if you're using the 56 count by Zweigert that is actually an even weave. Now, that's you can't hardly find it in the United States. However, Jean at the attic was able to source it, and if enough people contact her with interest in using it, she would stock it. I have some of the Zweigert's 56 count. It's called Meldal, Meldal, and it is wonderful, wonderful fabric. Um, However, the stitching that I'm doing is over 2. I'm not doing over 1. If you're going to stitch over 1 on it, I don't think you could use DMC. Absolutely don't think you can use DMC. It would be, you'd never get, your stitches would just be too full, too tight. It would be way, way, way too crowded. I think you would have to look into either the Tudor silks or the threads. I think they're a Virosois, the 100/3, or the super fine, or Sewer fine. I think that's how you say it. Um, I really think that would be the only, you'd have to find, like, in fact, off the top of my head, you maybe could just use regular sewing machine thread, depending on what you're doing. You know, if you're doing like a monochromatic design, you need and you're doing it over 1, you need a really, really fine thread. So, you're obsessed with 56 count. I like 56 count too. I really do. However, with the stitching I've done on it, I've stitched over 2. And stitching over 2 on the 56 count, I used 1 strand of DMC. And it got it got really nice. Um, I was very happy with it. I did the Blackbird designs. It's the winter, spring, summer. Hi, Rebecca. How are you today? Glad you joined. Um, and over 2, a strand of DMC is fine. It's absolutely fine. Oh, Marjorie, 56 count is small. Normally, what I do is I take my cheater glasses and put them over my other glasses so that I have 4 eyes. Literally, 4. um, but if I'm doing 56 count, I really do have to sit under a magnifier to see that well. I mean, I can see it with my cheaters on top of my regular glasses, but I can't see it to stitch the way I like to stitch on it. I need magnification to do that. Oh, the names of the other floss types: Tudor silks, and Jean at the attic would have those. Most of your shops would have that. Um, and if they don't carry it, they can definitely order it for you. The other one is a Viraswa Surfine, Surfine. That's another very thin thread. The other one you could try is any of the threads that are 100/3. Those are also very fine. And off the top of my head, I forget who the manufacturer of that is. That might also be another type in the Avira Swa line. Now, granted, those are all silks. If you're looking for a cotton, I'm not sure if cotton threads come that small. You could actually try regular sewing thread and see how that works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Some people are stitching with the sulky thread. They're using the 12 weight, but there is also a 40 weight sulky that is pretty thin. That even might be an option for you to check out. So those would be the suggestions I have. I can't think of anything else. What was I using, a beading needle or a 28? Believe it or not, I used a 26 needle. And my holes were not overly stretched. Because here's the thing with needles. 9 times out of 10, we're using a needle that's too small. 9 times out of 10. If you find that your thread, you thread the needle and you have that little tail, and if you find that tail keeps shredding and gets thinner and thinner and fraying even more, your needle's too small. Because what you want the eye of your needle to do is open the eye far enough so that your thread doesn't drag when it goes through the hole in the fabric. That's what causes your floss to fray and to shred and to, at times, even break. Especially if you keep your needle on the thread at the very same spot and don't move it. That added friction of going through the fabric is what's causing your threads to fray and break. And the tail from where you threaded your needle, how that frays off and gets thinner and thinner, that's what's causing that. So I am at the point of, I use a 26 for just about everything. It's very rare that I use a smaller needle than that. And I have had far less problems with my thread shredding. So that would be a suggestion I have, not only for you, Almond, but for everybody. Look at your needle size and look what your thread is doing with that needle size. Also, if you hear the thread coming through your fabric all the time, your needle's probably too small. So go up a size or back down a size. You know what I mean. If you're using a 28 and it's doing all that stuff, go to 26. If you're using a 26 and it's doing all that stuff, go to 24. That would be my best advice to anybody. Okay, let's see. Crafty, what are you up to here? I understand how to stitch over 2 threads on Lugana, but I don't understand how to start a project, such as counting from the left top corner to first stitch placement. The simplest way is know how much margin you've left for framing. Okay, do you do a 3-inch margin on both sides and 3 inches on the top and bottom? If that's the case and you're doing a full coverage piece, all you need to do is measure in from the side 3 inches, down from the top 3 inches, put a pin there, and that's where you start. Easy as that. The other thing I've done is, if it's not full coverage and I want to start on the top and as far to the left as that top row of stitching goes, I find the center of my fabric. I count up. So say it's your chart is 100 stitches by 100 stitches. Okay? But your top row of stitching is maybe only 25 stitches over from the center. So what I would do is fold my fabric and find the center. My height is 100 stitches. So I'm on the center, so I only want to count up 50. And then from that point, I count over to where the first stitch is, which we're just going to pick a random number at 25. And that's how I start, if it's a non-full coverage. If it's a full coverage, as I said, you measure whatever amount of excess you left for the border for framing. You measure in, say, the 3 inches and down the 3 inches, and that's where you start. The easier way to do that is take a Post-it note, lay it on the top left corner, and the corner of your Post-it note is where your first stitch goes. Easy peasy. Okay? That's the easiest way for me. So I hope that would help you. Challenger, you're quite welcome. Oh, about keeping your back neat, Tori. Okay, here's what I have to say about backs. And I think I talked about this in the last video. For me, I find well, let me go full on Karen and get rid of the other camera. Oops, okay, here we go. Let's get rid of this one. Okay. Here we go. All right. Backs. Okay, here's my back. All right. Now, you can see I stitched, let's go start over here. I stitched, there we go, cross country on the first page. Then I switched on the second page to columns. Okay, which way am I going here? I always go the wrong way. And I stitched, you can see where I stitched diagonally. In one direction, you can see where I stitched diagonally. In another direction, you can see where I stitched cross country. I think the whole thing is all of these where I stitched in columns or I stitched diagonally, I was parking. And I was working one row at a time, and I was parking within that area. So if I was stitching diagonal, I went 10 stitches wide on a diagonal. If I was stitching in columns, I went 10 stitches wide down the column. And that's how my backs get. I mean, what happens when you're doing that is you're actually stitching over any carried threads. So if I used 310 here and 310 and it stopped, but 310 was used again 9 rows down, I'd park my thread down there at that stitch on the 9th row. And I didn't mind that carry because all those other stitches in between were going to stitch over that thread and work it in. So that, let me go back to, here we go. Okay, maybe you can see it better here. Let me hold it like this. So you see all those stitches, any of those carries got worked in. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There are places that it is maybe a little bit thicker than other places, and those were really high confetti areas. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not overly thick. Not overly thick at all. I mean, and in this area, there was gazillions of colors. Okay, so it's not, okay, here's an area, let me get it in focus. Here's an area where I worked a little bit more cross country. And that has a little bit more thread carries, but I don't think it's really any tragic amount of thicker than any place else. So it's just all a matter of, I try not to carry my thread more than 10 stitches away in any direction. If it's more than that and I can work it under pre-existing stitches, I will do that. If I can have a space in between where it's going to get stitched over, I will do that. But if there's, say I filled in all of the biggest color and now I'm picking up ninja stitches and I have to carry over stuff that's already been stitched, I will start and end. So, I mean, that's my best suggestions for keeping your back nice. And I don't think, oh, I accidentally removed that. There we go. I don't think my back is, it's not overly thick. And in the grand scheme of things, for a project that has almost 90 colors, it really is, I think, pretty neat. Now, don't let people shame you because of the way your back looks. Oops, here we go. Because, as I said, the last stream is your back is personal. It is what makes you happy. It is what you can live with. What I can live with and what you can live with are two different things, probably. You know, there are those stitchers who have to have the perfect back. And so be that. And if that's what their criteria is and what they like, kudos to them. There are those stitchers who don't care one way or another what their back looks like, how thick it is, how much of a string art it is. They don't care. The front looks good. That's what's important to them. That's okay. I would say most of us are somewhere here in the middle of the road. Most of us. So, oh, okay, here we go. There we go. Let me flip this around. Okay. Most of us are somewhere in the middle of the road. You know, it's a sliding spectrum. The thing is, last time I looked, there is no stitching police. They ain't there. There ain't none. My feeling is, whatever that stitcher is comfortable with, whatever that stitcher is in their mind, how they feel about it, it's okay. And the rest of us need to move on because they're happy with their stitching and it's their stitching. So let them be happy. And everybody's right. There is nobody that's going to see the back once it's framed. So, you know, the people that have the theory of what does it matter, truly, what does it matter? It doesn't. Yes, I have won awards, and most of you all already know that. I have won awards at Woodlawn, which is one of the most prestigious needlework places to enter. But I'm not going to look at somebody else and say, oh, that's terrible stitching. I also don't look at myself and say, oh, I'm better than everybody else, because I'm not. Gary, when I was on Fiber Talk, asked me, how many times did I enter Woodlawn? I said twice. How many times did it take you before you won? I said I won both times I entered. And he was just baffled and dumbfounded. And truly, I do not stitch to be judged. I stitch for enjoyment. I stitch because that's what I do. And the second time I entered, a friend of mine, I said, just pull something off the wall and that's what I'll enter. That happens to be the one that took first place. I stitch for enjoyment. I don't stitch to be judged in a contest. And I think that's what everybody should do. And stitch what makes you happy. Because if you're not happy, then why bother? You know? So that's my little soapbox about backs. A lot of people need to get over themselves and just accept it for what that person thinks is nice and what they're willing to say is okay with them. because we're not all stitching. We're not stitching for competitions. We're stitching because we love it, and it's what we want to do. Okay, let's see. I got backlogged here. Oh, Tori, you probably left. So I hope you're gonna have a good day, and thanks for stopping by, and always stopping back. It's wonderful. Yeah, and you're right. When it does get really thick and padded, it is hard to stitch. It is hard to get through all those bunched up threads. So, it's all, again, it's a matter of looking and finding what you're happy with. And yeah, it can be hard to frame it. Um, I think what a framer will do if a back is too thick and padded in some places and not thick and padded in others, they'll put like a batting between to soften that up and to um, have the thick parts squoosh. I can't explain it, but to squoosh into that batting so that they can even it out. I mean, I think they have ways of working around that, um, but it is something to be mindful of. Oh, these lights getting in my eyes. Got to move it. Okay, and my stitching is, guys can't even see that anymore. Okay, got to move it this way. There we go. All right, the point may be that there are some teachers out there who place a huge amount of emphasis on having the backs perfect. And I think you are absolutely right, Holly. There are a lot of teachers out there that say, "Oh, it has to be all your stitches on the back must be straight up and down, lined across the row," or um, yeah, you don't have any little ends sticking out, or yeah, they want perfection. And once again, I think people and teachers included need to let that go, because as I said, we do this for fun. And Marjorie, if your black is terrible, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Tori, you never run into someone shaming you. Well, that's good. Yeah, and if you're not happy with it, then then that's something you got to look at for you and find what makes you happy. Yes, Guy, I think you're right. There is a bumpiness that occurs on the front when your back isn't the same thickness. However, that being said, I have spots in mine too where it looks like some of these spots where I did a little bit more cross country and carried things a little bit more than I should have. It doesn't look quite as nice on the front. It looks bumpy. But I think once you wash it and iron it, that bumpy goes away and flattens out more. Because I wash mine and then I iron it. I roll it in a towel. I press out any excess water. I take it to the ironing board and I have several terry cloth bath towels on my ironing board, and then I iron it till it's dry. Yeah, it takes a while. It truly does. It takes a while. But that gets out a whole multitude of things. I mean, normal, even though this hoop might stay on for several days, and it's the one with the lip in it, once I take it off, that mark from the hoop goes away. You don't see it. I don't worry about crushed stitches. Yeah, they're probably going to get crushed from the hoop. That's going to happen. However, once again, once you wash it and once you iron it, they all fluff right back up. You know, those crushed stitches look just the same as the others once it's washed and pressed. So I don't worry about that. And really, what leaves hoop marks is not necessarily your hoop. It's more dirt. You know, if your hands were dirty, um, and you didn't wash your hands in the oils, and then you're holding the hoop like this, and you know the oils are getting on there, and of course you're holding near the rim. That's what makes your hoop mark is the is dirt and dust and oils. It's not the hoop itself. Again, my opinion. Again, I am not an expert. Jen's always tempted to take a picture of the back. Let me see. When someone seems to be showing off, I've held off so far, but I'm not making any promises for the future. Good for you. Good for you. Oops. Sorry, I accidentally removed that. I think you should do that. A friend of mine, we always joke about that. When somebody asks to see their back, to see the backs, she's always tempted to take a picture of her backside and post it. Oh, I think somebody ought to do it. That would be hysterical. Oh, funny. When cross-country stitching, yeah, that's exactly, Sky. Slide your needle under the stitches that are already existing. Yeah, especially when you have to go a long distance. Totally. And yeah, it probably does help the thickness because you can control where you're going, and you're not necessarily always putting thread under the same stitches. So you can control that, and it evens things out a bit. Oh, sorry, I needed a drink. Okay. Tori, how do you do that? Slide it under the back, under completed stitches. You just work your needle under completed stitches to the next area that you want to go to, if that's what you're asking. You have to flip your work. Now, for those of us that don't like to flip our work, that's why we end up with sometimes these long stringy threads. Look at this. There. But I knew those were going to get, hello, there we go. I knew those were going to get covered up. But that's when I was trying extreme cross country. Oy vey, that is not for me. Sorry, guys. For those of you that like that, more power to you, and I wish you much success. It's not for me. Oh, you didn't leave. Okay, you just tuned out once in a while. Okay, well, thanks for hanging around. And at what percent am I, Pascal? I am at 77.9%. So there is light at the end of my tunnel. Yep, yep. Sky's explaining how she does that. Tori, you posted a picture of your sister's back, and she's very paranoid about her back. the thing is, don't be paranoid. Don't do that. People need to let it go. It's your work. It's her work. Is she happy? As long as she's happy, that's all that matters. It's funny how some people freak out that you have no qualms about sharing your mistakes. And you know what, Sky? I don't have qualms about sharing my mistakes either. It's my work. If I made a mistake, I look at it and say, first of all, can I fudge it? Because we all hate to rip. So, can I fudge it? If not, if I can fudge it, okay, how can I fudge it? If not, then, and I have to rip it, okay, so what? I have to rip it. I've been known, well, there was not too terribly long ago where I ripped a couple hundred stitches because silly me had used the wrong color. And unfortunately, it was obviously the wrong color. So that was my fault. That was my fault. And Sky, you're right. When you're learning, you have mistakes. Everybody has mistakes. And I think I mistakes are how we learn. And if we learn from our mistakes, that's really all that matters. If you make a mistake where you have to either start over or rip a good part of your project, you're probably not going to make that mistake again. So it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience. And I think people just need to be kind. And like I said before, especially if it's somebody new who hasn't been stitching all that long, help them out. Give them suggestions. That's the least that we can do is help people understand that it might not work for you, but try this because that might make it better for you. If it doesn't, well, then let's kind of look for some other things to try. And instead of, I've seen it in groups and I've seen it with some people that I know that are stitchers, where instead of looking at what can be helpful, we look at what's wrong and let's pick it apart. You know, I do think we just need to be kind and to help each other because we don't want cross stitch to go away. God forbid if it go away, what would I do? I'm retired. It's what I do. It's my life. So let's be kind to people and give them suggestions for how you can do it better. If they want to take those suggestions, great. If they don't want those suggestions, okay. You know what? Okay. That's fine too. Okay, when I have a moment, could I speak about hoops versus scroll frames? I think Challenger, I think hoops were a lot of people don't like hoops because of the marks that they leave, the crushed stitches that they leave. As I said, personally, I don't have a problem with that. I learned to stitch on a hoop, I taught myself to stitch, and I used a hoop. Scroll frames, you have a much bigger area to stitch on. Once you fill that area, you can scroll to the next area. Your fabric doesn't get all wrinkly. I think it helps keep your stitches or your fabric cleaner than a hoop does. But again, it's a matter of preference. It's what did you learn when you started stitching? What did you learn on? And usually that's what you prefer. I prefer a hoop. I have done Q-snaps. I've done scroll frames. I've tried in hand. And I always come back to my trusty little 5-inch hoop. That is really what I'm most comfortable with. And you can see what I do. Whatever area I'm working on, I roll up the excess here, use a binder clip, clip it on, and the rest of this is just kind of laying on my lap, and I have my section here that I'm working on. That's why I like to try and start on the right hand side and work to the left hand side, because then when I'm bunching stuff up, I'm just bunching up fabric. I'm not trying to bunch up already, well, up here I will be trying to bunch up already stitched stuff, because up here is where I was on either a scroll frame or a Q-snap, but my favorite is still a trusty old hoop. So, and I wouldn't worry about the marks, crust stitches, because as I said, you're going to wash it and press it. I mean, I've been working on this for 4 years. There's no way I'm not going to wash it. So I think that really boils down to a matter of preference, what you prefer. Tori, you were all worried about moving your Q-snap because of crushing your stitches. No, don't worry. It'll come out. It'll come out. Wash it, press it. They'll be fine. Okay. Tessa Murphy, when she stitched, her backs would look so clean and perfect. And there are people that can do that. And it's seriously, I really think it depends on the chart. I really think it depends on the chart. Because if you, okay, I have seen people stitch pieces that are really heavy confetti. And their rule of thumb is I'm not going to carry my thread more than 3 stitches. So if they have to go more than 3 stitches, they are neatly ending off their thread on the back and they're restarting at the next spot. And I think that helps also to make your backs nicer. You know, my guess, and I don't know because I haven't talked to some of these people that have done that, my guess is they're probably stitching with 2 threads. They're probably using a loop start to start, and they're only ending off with working under stitches, or they're doing a pin stitch to hide, you know, and they're clipping off their ends very close, but they're ending their threads also very neatly. And I think because of that, their backs do look very clean and very perfect. And I have seen stitchers that are doing that. And again, if that's what they feel they need to do, good for them. Absolutely good for them. If you don't feel you need to do that, absolutely good for you. Uh, okay, that's your mom, Tessa. Yeah. Hi, Patricia. I'm sorry, I'm lagging so far behind on comments here. How do you stitch with Krynic on 25 count? I do it with a 26 needle and do the Krynic first. Is there a better way to do this? Um, I'll tell you a little trick I learned to deal with. First of all, Krynic I'm not a fan of. I don't like stitching with metallics, period. Um, but I did learn a little trick with the Krynic. If you have a damp sponge by you and you run it through the damp sponge before you start stitching with it, it makes it a little bit more manageable. The other thing I do when I did use it was I did like a lark's head knot. Like when you're putting your threads um, on a thread tag, how it has the hole and you make a loop, put the loop through the hole and then bring your ends through that loop and you loop it on to your thread drops. Put your Krynic on your needle the same way. So then it's not always slipping on you. I found that to be the easiest and the best way. Well, not, I shouldn't say that. It's the easiest and the best way for me to deal with Krynic when I have to use it. Somebody else might have some other suggestions, and if they do, let people know. But that's what I found works the best. If you just make it slightly like have a damp sponge and just run it through there one time, just like if you were using Thread Heaven or what's that other stuff, the new stuff, since Thread Heaven isn't made anymore, Magic something or other. Just run it through that damp sponge and that will help. Teresa says, I'm so with you. Any cross country is a no-go for me too. Yeah, I find, and don't you find, Teresa, that when you go cross country, you'll lose your place really fast? And you put your piece down for the day, and you come back the next day or whenever to stitch, and you spend the first 10 minutes trying to figure out where you are. So that's why I like to keep it very systematic to some extent and have some kind of a plan of where I'm going and what I'm doing. Okay. Pascal says, great job, wash hands. Yeah. Hi, Marta, glad you're here. Oh my God, I'm so behind here. Krynic time. Maybe it's because my sis kind of taught, but I find I'm more OCD than you thought. You tell myself, who cares what your back look like? And then I suddenly find myself worrying about it. Yeah. And do you worry about it because it doesn't meet your standard? Or do you worry about it because of what you think other people will say about it? Good question, huh? Good question. If you're worrying about it because it's not meeting your standard, then that's one thing. But if you're worrying about it because you fear what other people are going to say, let it go. Let it go. It's none of their business. Let it go. We're not stitching to make other people happy about what we're doing. We're stitching because it is our joy and what we do, and we're making ourselves happy. We're not stitching to make other people happy, and they need to let it go, as I said before. And Sky said, what's everybody working on? Rebecca's working on Greatest Storyteller. All right, nice design. Daffy's model stitching for Jules. That reminds me, I never sent her an email. Oh my goodness. That's great, Daffy. Yeah, Daffy, that you're stitching for Jules. Hi, Sheila. I'm great today. In fact, I do have to watch my time. It's 12:15, and um, I have a dentist appointment at 2 o'clock. So I'm going. I mean, I got time yet. I got time yet. But I will have to cut this off about 1 o'clock. If not, if we go that long. Oh, Marjorie, I'm glad. I'm glad. That's, yeah, I think we need to, I really think we need to just encourage each other and be supportive of each other. Um, it's just how I feel. What can I say? What can I say? But if I have given you courage and support, then I have done my job well. And thank you for that. I appreciate the feedback. What's my thought on thread conditioners and thread heaven? Um, I think there's varying schools of thought on that. There's people that swear by them. Beeswax is another one. Um, there's people that swear by them. There's people that don't like them, and there's people that could go either way. Myself personally, I've used beeswax and I feel like it left a coating on my thread, and I didn't like the way it made my thread look. It dulled it, and I don't know if I can find it on here anymore or if it has since worn off, but where I used it and then where I stopped using it, I could see a definite difference in my stitches. It dulled them, and I did not like that. Um, I really didn't like. I really didn't like Thread Heaven either, or the Thread Magic. I don't use them. I don't use them, but again, I think it's a personal preference. There are people that swear by them and they think they're terrific and they use them all the time. My own personal is I don't. I don't use them. So I would say try it. If it's something that you like, go for it. If it's something that you don't like, then don't use them. Teresa, you can only count to 10. Some days I can't even count to 10 if I be truthful about it. That's funny. Have I used 28 count instead of 25? Yes, I have. And I still use one strand on 28 count. And um, I like both. I like both. Um, I think I haven't used 28 count a lot, but what I did, I think it makes that smaller stitch makes the colors look more vibrant. Only my personal opinion, but I will use either 28 or 25. I tried 32 once, and these old eyes just are not loving that. I can't work on 32 count too long. Um, it just, I get a headache, and even with a magnifier, I can't do it. Christine, welcome. Glad you dropped by. And yes, Krynick, just do a half stitch on 25 count. That works. That works also. That's another way to deal with that, with the metallics. Yeah. And again, Tori, that's, yeah. Again, do what you can live with. Do what you can live with. You're working on a floral. EB8, Teresa. Tessa. Spanish dancer. Thea Gov. Marta, this is your first project. Well, if you need help, let us know. Okay, this is just. Ah, Joy, I probably missed your leaving, but I hope you are having a great time with your granddaughter. That is so fun. I was with mine yesterday. And that's the other thing. Oh my goodness. I was with mine yesterday, like I said, to help him with school while my daughter went to the doctor. And I get, Nana, Nana, aren't you going to sleep over tonight, Nana? I said, no, I can't. I have this and then a dentist appointment this afternoon. And of course she gets this a whole sad face. So I have to go Thursday again because my daughter will be starting her physical therapy. So she needs somebody to be there while the kids are doing their online school. So I said, well, if mommy says it's okay and Paw doesn't disagree, Nana will stay over on Thursday night. But oh my God, I think I told you guys the time I did stay over. Ah, Teresa, you're secretly watching while you're streaming or while you're working. Hey, look, it's always fun to try and to work and listen at the same time. And if you don't mind, I will get in contact with you about setting up a time to either meet on Zoom or Discord or somewhere about how to put this chat in my stream because oh my God, it's making me. I love chatting with you guys. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't do this. Um, uh, if you don't mind, I'll get in touch with you and we'll set up a time. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I appreciate it so, so much. Ah, great, Tori. I'll check out that webpage too. Awesome. See you, Teresa. Have a great day. Don't work too hard. And thanks for dropping by. It's been fun. It's been real. Okay, what did I miss here? Ah, okay, Joy, back to you. Have a great time with your granddaughter. That is so fun. Like I said, I'm going to stay overnight on Thursday into Friday with mine. Um, the last time I was there for a couple days, uh, and I left. I think I told you this before. She stood in the driveway after I left and was just pouting. And then she stood there for the longest time, and then she ran in the house and ran over in their playroom and was just sobbing because Nana went home. Oh my God, I felt so bad when I heard that. Uh, it does your heart good, but oh, it makes you so sad that she cried like that. So, I have to stay over with her. My grandson, he could care one. He's in his own little world. He could care less one like the other. But yeah, spend time. That's the thing to do. Spend time. Make the memories. They're not gonna. Yeah. Oh, I felt so bad for her. I did, Rebecca. And she's such a little sweetie. Oh my God. Such a little sweetie. I'll have to put a picture on here the next time I'm on. Yep. You know what, Sky? Mine were too. I was very close to my father's mother. She lived right around well, up the street a little bit and around the corner from us. And I spent more time there than I did at home. And, I have many, many good memories of my grandmother. And that's what I want my grandkids to have. You know, um, yes, I buy them things, but I don't buy them things every time I go to visit. And they have a grandma that does that. And, more power to her. If that's how she wants to handle it, fine. Um, but I am of the thought that it's more important to spend the time with them and make some memories with them. Like when they grow up, they are, hopefully, they're not going to forget about all the hours that Nana spent playing Minecraft with them, of which Nana knows nothing about. So I just go dig. they, they tell me what they need. They tell me what they need, and I go dig it. That's how Nana plays. But Nana's doing it with them, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In fact, they were so excited the other day because Abe did it and Emmy helped him. They killed the Ender Dragon. Well, whoever the Ender Dragon is, I have no clue. But that must be one of the highlights of the game is to kill the Ender Dragon. So they did that while Nana dug stuff. She dug dirt. But they'll still always remember how Nana did that with them. So that's just a wonderful thing. Yes, they killed. I didn't. I was just digging stuff. They killed the Ender Dragon. And now they have me in this other place. I can't remember what it's called. But now they have me in this other place where it's all these green islands. And you have to build bridges to the other. I guess it's in the Nether or it's somewhere past the Nether. It's all these islands that it's green. The stone is all green, and you have to build bridges to go from island to island, and they're looking for some building. I don't know what it's called. But Nana's not very good at walking across those bridges. So Abe and I dig the green stuff. Abe said it looks like cheese. So I dig the cheese. They build the bridge. They go to the next island, and then Nana teleports to them so she doesn't fall in the dark places. Because you fall into nothing. If you fall off of these islands, then you fall into nothingness and you respawn back at your bed, at your house, so that you have to go all the way back in again. So teleporting is a wonderful thing. That's all I can say. So I don't know if it's the Nether or if it's the end something. I can't remember what it's called, but there's these green things, green islands that were looking for something. I don't know. As I said, Nana just digs. But it's fun. It's fun. So, does anybody have any more questions for me? Like, I did not even stitch one stitch today. I just love sitting here talking to you guys. It's just the best. And I'm so glad so many of you dropped by to listen to me blather on about next to nothing. It's always fun. It's always so much fun. I really enjoy it. And you know what? I have come to the conclusion. I send this to YouTube and to Twitch at the same time. So I multi-stream. But I would rather, like Teresa said on hers, when I watched her video the other day, yesterday, I think it was, I'd rather do this than just do a YouTube video where I sit here and talk to myself. Because I can't always, like Teresa, I can't always come up with stuff to talk about. And this way, at least I get asked questions and I can answer the questions. And like I said, I'm not a professional. I am just another person, just like anybody else. But I try to share what I've learned over the years. I've been stitching for 50 years. 50. Actually, I can't believe I'm this old. I never thought I would be this old. My head still thinks it's 35. Yeah, not my body. But it's fun. I truly enjoy this. I don't feel like I have to sit here and think about, oh golly, what can I talk about next? Oh geez, I'm running out of stuff to say. When, you guys are all here and we're just chatting together, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I have to say thank you to each and every one of you for dropping by and liking the channel and click the notification. What's my favorite floss system? Oh my. I think I have tried every floss system in the book. And I don't know that I have found one yet that I could truly say is my favorite. I started out with bobbins many, many years ago. And I stuck with bobbins for a very, very long time. Then I tried thread drops. But I didn't necessarily like how things would get tangled. Right now I have my master set in floss away bags. And I like that. However, I'm a mobile stitcher. Most of the time I stitch over here. I'm in my sun porch at the moment. So most of the time I stitch over here. But there's many times, especially in the evening, that I'm in the living room with my husband. So I don't want to take all my boxes for my master set over in the living room. So I pull it and put all the colors I need in one box. And so far that's been working all right, but I'm still hesitant with that. I don't know. I'm seriously considering, now I will keep the master set. but I have a lot of stuff still on bobbins. And let me pull one. Let's see if I have one in here. Might be in my other. Let me lean over far enough. Can't get it. I've got to move you a little bit. There we go. Put this up here. So far, I actually think what I have enjoyed more than anything. See, here's another large project. Are bobbins and the bags plus. So everything goes on the bobbin. And I like this particular bobbin the best because, let me get under the camera here. Okay, because you can wrap your thread on, and then this space up here, after you cut the length of the 6 strands off and you have leftovers, you can wrap your leftovers up here. So that's, I don't know, this is what I'm thinking of going back to and using. Here, let me switch the cameras here. Here we go. And using this. They're Bags Plus. They're on Etsy. And they come, this one has 90 pockets. They come with 45 pockets. They come with 180 pockets. I am seriously thinking of just going back to using these. They're the easiest to be portable and carry around with you. I got the bobbins at, yes, Guy, I think it depends on this, on the project for what system. The bobbins I got on 1-2-3 Stitch, and I would be hard pressed to tell you at this moment what they were called. But if you just look up bobbins for cross stitch, you should find them. I think there's 25 in a pack. 25, it's either 25 or 50 in a pack. I can't remember. It's been a while ago, but I think that's what I'm going to be going back to. Either that or even just the regular plastic bobbins, either or. Again, that's what I started with many, many, many years ago. So I think that's what I lean towards. This to carry around, and say I want to go to a retreat and I want to take this along. Yeah, look at that mess. And then you want to find your color. You got to sit here and go like this and find the color, and then you pull it, and then you got to put it back. And the bobbins, when you open that up, you can see every color number. Pull it out very quickly. Take off what you need. Wrap the excess back on. You know, does it take about the? It's to pick at you is getting full. All you got to be to 8 reason